that's, you know, that's what he said, that next summer there would be this big revolution and that the chosen people would live in a hole in the middle of the desert. And then after the crimes, we went out and looked for the hole. The more I dropped acid, the harder. And so slowly, you know, it was like all of the hippies were migrating to areas where they felt comfortable with one another. Could it have been other children? I think at the time it could have been a lot of other children.
How do you feel now it's all over, Barbara?
Fine.
What was it like in there, being a witness?
Nothing.
Well, you must have had some feelings.
Hello, my sister. Hi, Piggy-Mos and Katrina.
What name is that?
Piggy-Mos.
Piggy-Mos? What does that mean?
I think it's Spanish for pig.
Barbara, could you repeat what you overheard in the kitchen when you were on the bed in the other room?
The whole thing? I don't know if I'm supposed to.
She can say that.
What do you want to say?
Huh?
I was asking her about the conversation that she overheard from the kitchen.
You already recorded it. Now can she say it?
Just want her to say it for the record. That's all right. Okay.
And about texting Katie, too? She said, Kate came out and said, "What's going on here?" Something like that. And she said, "Shut up, woman." And then she said, it was the last to die. She had to watch the others go first.
You said the conversation lasted for about 5 minutes. Now, you've just described about 1 minute of it. What else did she say?
I'm not supposed to say that.
Eliminating the other witness, the other people that she talked about.
Well, the other girl asked if she was pretty, and she said, not when there's a bunch of other people around.
Well, were you afraid of him at the time that you decided to leave in the family?
Yes.
Why?
Because when he got in the desert, he got meaner.
Born in 1949, the second of 4 children. She was very close to her father, Paul, a car dealer.
She was very happy and outgoing and very athletic. And she seemed to enjoy life. She just was sometime without care and abandon, I would say.
Very, very pretty and very bright.
When in high school, both Leila and Patricia.
That somehow my dad leaving had left a space there. I was very close to my father, and there was a hole when he left. And there was a hole when he left.
I remember getting in the car with Tex. 2 co-defendants, 3 co-defendants actually. And before I ever got in the car, Tex and I had our own special little stash of cocaine. I think it was cocaine or methadone, I'm not sure which. We were with speed, and we both snorted some speed and got in the car. We were very, very wired. we drove to the house with instructions to kill everyone in the house. And not just that, but that we were instructed to go all the way down every house, hit every house on the
street?
On the street, yes.
And kill all the people in those houses?
Kill all the people in all those houses. And we went into the house, and I remember that as we went in, a car came up. The people in the house were all brought into the living room and tied up, and I remember that I believe is his name. I had tied his hands with a towel and then was instructed to kill him. And I raised the knife that I had in my hand, and I couldn't put the knife down. I couldn't bring it down. It was just as though there was a force there that held my wrist, and I couldn't move. Then Tex came and helped me, and I was left to sit and watch Sharon Tate. And about that time, all I can remember seeing is people just scattering in different places and running in different places, and I was left. And she was talking to me, and I remember that I had absolutely, I felt nothing. I felt absolutely nothing for her as she begged for her life and for the life of her baby. And Jesus. I remember when we first went in, one of the people said, "Who are you?" And Tex said, "I'm the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's business." And I remember that in my conscience, it's so alive in me, even just recalling it. I remember that I had gone so far and there was no turning back. Even if I had wanted to run, even if I had wanted to leave, I couldn't. It was like I was caught in something that I had no control over. I had absolutely no say-so as to what was happening there. I was just like a tool in the hands of the devil, is the only way I can put it. I believe that...
Well, who did kill those people?
That night?
Yeah.
Tex. You'd have to understand what acid does to the mind in order to understand how a person can get confused behind drugs. And I would take a thesis, writing a book on what LSD can do to the mind. I used to think that you came down off an acid trip after 12 hours. That's not true. Every time you take LSD, you rises or expands, and the moral fiber of your character, which is in, you grow up, everybody grows up with different morals according to their culture. Okay, when you take acid, your mind expands beyond these moral characteristics and your concepts of right and wrong. So you step out beyond those bounds, and when you step out beyond those bounds, the imagination begins to take over. And the imagination can be a very deceitful thing. It's a fantasy. And when you take acid, you go out beyond that, you think you're coming back to where you started from. Originally, you don't. And every time you drop acid, you get a little bit further away from reality. And I took so much acid that I just was what I would term spaced. And it took me many years to what I term now re-enter. And that was just through not having any acid and having to deal with reality every day.
Well, you say you're finished too.
Well, yeah, there was a lot of deprogramming that was involved in that. You take away a person's conscience of right and wrong by telling them when they're under LSD or any mind-expanding drug, there's no such thing as guilt. And you've already come to a place in your mind or your imagination where you don't like the feeling of guilt, so it's easy to say, yeah, there's no such thing as guilt. I'll believe there's no such thing as guilt, therefore I can do anything and not feel guilty about it. Yes, well, I found peace through salvation in Jesus. And And just knowing that I've been forgiven by God is sufficient. Those people, and then I've heard later that he has said himself that he was responsible for all the deaths.
Are you trying to lay the blame off on him?
No. No.
Then what do you think is the point of this?
That the truth be told, that the truth be made known. I try to take blame from Ted by taking and saying that I had killed. I tried to take some of the blame and put it on myself because I thought that was my part at that point, and that was a lie.